Okay, welcome back to another weekly forecast, guys. Before we go into this week's forecast, I want to show you guys what happened in last week's forecast, and how we can potentially use that to guide our week ahead. So a lot of the things I spoke about last week is still very much relevant, and it still hasn't come into fruition, most of them anyways. But we got the step one right basically, which I'll explain why. So first of all, let's look at GJ. Okay, GJ, if you guys remember, this is what I said. Another one is a bit of a deeper retracement, which is these highs over here. We could expect a price to retrace back into these 167s and continue back down to 1595. Okay, so I was expecting a bearish sentiment for GJ after a breaking down below, but I did expect a retracement back up. And to find those retracement points, let's look at the daily level. So first retracement point was here. Okay, so this 165,500 level was a psychological level that price could reject from. And to some extent it did. However, I didn't take my entries here because it wasn't really showing any clear signs to start selling. And just to be clear, I haven't taken any sells quite yet for GJ, and I'm still waiting for the right opportunity to do so. And the next daily level that we were looking at is this level over here, 167 to a T, right? This level right here. So we were looking at this, and we're making this as a solid resistance point for GJ. So let's get the 4 hour and how that's going on. So you can see that price on the hour, because I normally execute on the hour, has created some sort of buy side liquidity up here and sell side liquidity down here. So what I want to do now, for what I want to happen to GJ, is a push up past this liquidity zone right here on the daily open, on Monday open, and fall back down below into this daily level. That's what I want to see, and then I'll probably execute, and I most likely will execute my shorts here. I've been waiting very, very patiently for GJ here, especially with this, literally, it's just like consolidating the whole time. It hasn't broke out of consolidation particularly. It has literally just been in blocks of consolidation. There is no trend really. Well, you can say it's been a bearish trend sort of, but it's a very weak, bullish trend, a very weak bullish trend. And it's literally just been consolidating, so I haven't really entered GJ, and I've been keeping away from it for the whole week. Most of the people in our group anyways have been keeping away from it as well, due to the nature of GJ at the moment. So yeah, so as I explained, what I want to happen now is a break above and finish back down below, and that will be my my sell entry requirement, and I'll be entering over here. Stop loss could potentially be up here, or if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, or risky, you could probably use this, like maybe the candle high or the wick high as your stop loss. So that's what I'm looking for. So overall sells for GJ. But yeah, so let's move on to the next one, which is pound Aussie dollar. So pound Aussie dollar, as I said, exactly the same as GJ. So we have just had a consolidation period over here, finished below, and then we finished straight back above, and now we finish back down below again. Okay, so it's a little bit of a fake out scenario over here. I said if we end up like potentially starting to break down below, these are potential targets. However, you can see that didn't kind of work out in the beginning. So let me actually just refresh your memory, guys. Here's the video. Straight down to the hour time frame over here to see this is probably one of the setups that are almost ready. So we have left buy side liquidity up here. We've taken sell side liquidity down here. So what we could potentially do is make one more retracement back up to 1.7, almost 1.78250, around that level, and a continuation back down into 1.735 if that's your first target, and obviously the overall target is 1.7. 1.7, and then the overall target is just below 1.6, right? But that's a long-term target. And okay, so now we're back. As for the daily level, I said this could be a potential one, could be a major support for potential early sellers, and could start trickling back up above. Or if you guys want to be a bit risky, you could be a fake out and then all the way back down into these levels. You can see one worked and the other one didn't. So the fake out didn't work quite well. We did reach these previous lows over here, and we did kind of break it, but not enough to really justify a full-on sell over here. And then, but we did finish back up above it, and then we started trickling back up to 1.79. I did expect this to happen as well, because if you guys remember, my main sell requirement, like I said last week, was if there is sell side buy side liquidity up here and then sell side liquidity now waiting down here. Okay, so it's kind of moved to some extent, right? So our range has kind of moved here throughout the week, and we've created relatively equal lows down here. So now what we want to do is take this buy side liquidity over here, and then push back down below into the range, and then this would even be better for us because our sell is now a lot higher. Instead of being down here, we're now up here, so we could start looking at having such a big risk reward over here. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. As for the 1 hour time frame, we do have liquidity sitting above these levels over here. We have technically grabbed the liquidity from these sorts of levels, right? We have technically grabbed the liquidity, although I'm not too sure if that's enough, especially that look at how it's rejected the lows still. I'm not quite sure that's enough to really give us the big move that we're expecting. We could look for one more grab of the highs and then finish back down below, and then that's when we could probably sell at that point. So yeah, that's what we're looking at so far. But yeah, that's what we're looking at for GA. And yeah, let's move on to the next one, which is gold. So with gold, we have spoiler alert, we've taken sells on gold. If you guys remember what I said was this is a major resistance for gold. I added this later on. I also saw this as a major resistance point for gold as well, around 1785, around that level, 1785 500. I saw that as a major resistance point that we could potentially use for sells. You can see that it's kind of working out so far. So far, so good. I also added a new weekly level over here. So actually, let me refresh your guys' mind again. I have this level over here, which if we break down below, it could be a good selling signal because one, we failed to sustain this high. Okay, so we have buy side liquidity over here. If we fail to sustain this high, this would technically be counted as a fake out, and we could potentially be retracing all the way down to sell side liquidity. Okay. Another thing that it could be used for, though, however, is a little push back down, so a break and retest. Okay, that could potentially happen as well. And here you go. So now we're back. I am expecting this level over here to potentially hold. If it doesn't hold, then we have obviously this whole bullish candle over here to kind of mirror, and that would be pretty good for us because obviously we sold at practically the highs of this market or this current move, so we could potentially see that big move to the downside. And also but again, as I said, as for the daily level, this is the level I marked out over here. These sorts of levels where we can look for a break and retest for the potentially going back up to these highs of 1800. And then rejecting that. Okay, so that could potentially happen still. That's still not out of the cards. However, since our entry, as you can see here, was quite high, we have already moved to break even on this trade in our group. And there was two break even points. So the first break even point was over here. Once this level was reached, you can move to break even. You can see that it completely just shattered that level anyways, so that's pretty good, and it never came back up to entry at all. Or the second break even point was this level over here. Once this level is reached as well, we look to move to break even. At this point, we're safe because it could potentially reject this level, it could reject this level, or it can reject this level. So we have three levels that we can reject off from before it could really tap us out or get anywhere near our entry. So yeah, that's pretty good. And as for another risk management is we're looking to take profits around this 1740 level. Around this 1740 level is our take profit, so around these levels, because again, it could easily bounce off and push back up again. So you want to secure a little bit of something and then keep the rest running just in case, obviously, you reach that 1680 target, which is our overall target for now. But as I said on the weekly time frame, that 1600 could be a major level, 1620, that could be a major level that we could, full on reach by potentially the end of the month or something, right? So again, that's pretty good. So that one worked out. Again, for euro dollar, I said exactly the same thing for euro dollar. We have bearish sentiment for euro dollar after this big push up. Let me actually just add on my levels over here. So I had two entries on euro dollar, and I'll explain why now. So this is less of a forecast, but more of a rundown of last week's forecast, because most of the forecast last week was still very much viable. Okay, so with euro dollar last week, what we basically said is the same thing's going to happen for gold. They have a very positive correlation, so whatever happened then will probably happen. What happened with gold will probably happen with euro dollar as well. So let's look at the weekly time frame. First of all, on the weekly time frame, we were met a major resistance over here, right? I didn't add any more levels for euro dollar when I executed it, and I said if we do finish above on the weekly level, if weekly time frame, if we finish above this level, we could potentially start filling in this, this clean traffic and start going to 1.06. However, we didn't quite reach that, so no, there's no need to worry about that one. As for the daily and the daily price action, you can see that we've broken past it on the daily time frame, but we quickly snapped back into that weekly level. So that was a good fake out for me, and I can assume that there's probably loads of buyers trapped within this area over here. So that was good for me. Now there's loads of buyers trapped. The more we go down over here, the more stop loss will get hit. If they have their stop loss hit, what would happen to their buys? If they're buying the market and they're trying to get stopped out, they will have to sell, right? If they're selling, obviously, then there'll be more sell pressure in the market, causing more sell pressure to happen, and that's good for us in our positions. As for the 12-hour, you can see that my expectation to sell at 1.38 obviously was met. We did have some sort of shoddy price action within this level, but that's why I have my confirmations, right? I don't want to be within this price action. I don't want to be within this, not price action, sorry, within this consolidation level. I want to be at this breakout point right here, and that's kind of what I did. I got in a little bit earlier than I want to, but still overall a decent entry. As for the entry requirement, what I did was I looked at the hour time frame. Again, most of my execution, if not all of my execution, will be done on the hour time frame and the hour time frame alone. But all my analysis will come from weekly, daily, 12-hour, 4-hour, and 1 hour. Okay. So what I looked for was, first of all, we have this push up and we finish back down below. However, this level didn't hold this time, right? It completely snapped back above and we had a consolidation. We finished back down below. So now that we have this consolidation level, I know this is a major resistance point. At this point, there was really there was nothing telling me really that it was going to be a major resistance point, as it just broke through and finished back down below. But now this level is held previously, right? Very recently as well. So now, once this level is retested, I was willing to take my entry there. The second thing I had was, I don't use this very often, but I'll give you guys the insight, and I'll give you guys why exactly I took the second entry over here, slightly above where I entered the first time. Was we had this fair value gap over here. Okay, so this fair value gap right here, there was a bit of an imbalance right here. So I decided to enter. If prices go against me, I would put the rest of my risk into this market, and so I did. But I didn't just enter as soon as this block was here. I entered exactly 50%, so around this level over here. But obviously due to spread, it did go down a little bit. But besides the point. So I entered at 50% of that fair value gap. I didn't want to enter at the top in case I missed this trade, and then I would only be up the 0.5% risk that I've entered. So I wanted to be executed, and I knew these highs were practically safe. I was a little bit worried though, because it generated relatively equal highs over here. But it technically didn't, because it did kind of break over here. You can see it did break this highs over here. So I wasn't too afraid, but again, it was a little bit of a little playing on my mind at the time. Okay, so now we are in this trade currently. It's now running at break even, mostly because, not because of one-to-one or anything, not because of any normal risk management, but mostly because of we were closing for the weekend, and I really didn't want to get tapped out and then start reversing back, or tapped out even worse and start taking. So I was taking our stop losses, so I decided to let's tell all the group to move it to break even. At this point, we have just about broke major resistance really, in terms of this level and this level over here. However, we have this major resistance being met. So if this major resistance does become major support does hold, then there's a high chance that we do get tapped out. So I didn't want to be in that scenario Monday morning getting tapped out, even though we were up almost 1% basically on the trade. So yeah, you can see that we're 0.84 around that level. So we were up almost 1%. As for my second trade, it is up 1%. Okay, so that is basically what I was looking at last week, and the results of last week's analysis. As for Bitcoin right now, I did analyze that last week. However, there's not much we can do about Bitcoin at the moment. It's literally just consolidating. I think the market is literally just waiting for what will happen with FTX before it really takes a move. I do expect, technically speaking, obviously this isn't fundamental or anything. I still do expect price to reach 18,400 before climbing back down to 1,400. Okay, that's still a big expectation of mine. It's kind of what's happening with this. I showed this on a live stream last time, so yesterday I think. Yeah, I showed this on a live stream yesterday. You can see that every single, and during this bearish run, anyways, for most of this bullish price action, like huge bullish push, we are met with bearish pressure straight after. Bullish move is met with bearish price action after. Again, big bullish move is met with strong bearish action straight after, right? So that's why I'm expecting another big run to the upside, but an even bigger move to the downside over here. So let me just move these and delete them. There you go. So that's overall what's happening for the weekend. That's my forecast for the week. Still the same thing. I'm still bearish on GJ. I'm still bearish on GU. I'm still going to hold my euro dollar trade, and I'm still going to hold my gold trade. There are all shorts at the moment. The only thing I'm really bullish at in the things I trade is Dixie. It's for Dixie. I do expect price to reach 1.107 around 500 for that to be met with that weekly level. I don't really trade Dixie though. I only use it as like adding confluence to gold and euro dollar, right? So I hope that was clear enough for most people. I think this video is already running a little bit long, so I'll cut this short. So thank you very much for everyone who was watching. If you guys have any questions, obviously put it in the comments down below, and I will be more than happy to answer them. If you guys have learned something, please hit the like button. If you guys want to watch more, hit the subscribe button. But besides that, guys, have a great day and have a safe trading week next week. Bye.